Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jonathan Muzio. I'm the Vice President of Business Development with Adcellerant. Just a little bit of a background overview on Adcellerant. We are a digital marketing managed services provider and advertising technology company. We specialize in partnering with local media organizations and advertising agencies to help enhance and incrementally enhance their digital agency solution through white labeling, sales enablement of several different digital marketing platforms. And I'm here to talk about inventory quality and execution quality and how these aspects in terms of your solution could have tremendous amount of impacts in terms of what the bottom line is. So whether or not you're building out your own DSP, your own solution in-house, or you plan on partnering with a vendor to enhance some of your different digital capabilities, a lot of these partners are looking to find the best solution, obviously, that's out there. And I think that if you're looking to build out your own, or if you're looking to partner with somebody, the emphasis should always be on quality. What quality DSP are you using? What kind of customizations, and how elastic is that DSP to accommodate inventory quality filters so that you can enhance your execution, your campaign, and also the quality of the individuals that are going to be optimizing and managing that campaign for you on your behalf. What kinds of tools? How are they optimizing campaigns? How frequently are they doing all that stuff? I think that these are all important questions that you should be asking yourself and your agency teams in order to, again, determine how it is that you can constantly evolve this solution to achieve the best results possible. In our experience, there's best practices that we have set up and we help our partners enable to represent as their own in order to be more successful and differentiate themselves within a very competitive marketplace. No two solutions are the same when it comes to programmatic. We find that there's a couple of different things that can really enhance that solution. First is obviously data. Higher quality data will give you the ability to target more precisely. But then also the emphasis in terms of when that campaign is being executed, the quality of inventory that is being used. So in terms of best practices, some of the inventory quality standards that we look to achieve and we recommend our partners look for as well are, again, what kinds of capabilities do you have within that DSP to make it much more customizable for what it is that you're looking for. At Adcellerant, we use the trade desk, and the trade desk is very elastic to accommodate quality inventory filter providers such as White Ops, Peer 39, and these help with a lot of the pre-optimization and a lot of the campaign setup standards that are going to encourage a higher performing quality campaign. Next is the campaign manager. How are these campaign managers optimizing campaigns? Who is optimizing campaigns? How many campaigns are they optimizing on an ongoing basis? Do they have enough ability and enough time to optimize campaigns and make strategic, data-driven recommendations based on the inferences that are generated within that DSP? And so the quality of the human interaction is something that's extremely important. And then we talked a little bit about pre, post, mid inventory quality filters that we can set up. This is all part of that pre-optimization process. Companies like Peer 39 help with brand safety. As you guys are out there having interactions with auto clients or home services or professional services providers, it's important to understand brand safety and to ensure that their brand digitally is only going to be placed on websites that aren't surreptitious or contain offensive content. Or if I'm an auto dealer, I don't want to have my ad appear on a website that talks about a fatal drunk driving accident. That's just bad brand safety. So a lot of these pre-optimization standards can be set up before the start of a campaign to ensure campaign setup is done efficiently and correctly, and campaign execution is going to be done effectively. It comes on to when all this is used in conjunction with each other, you achieve higher quality campaigns, higher quality execution, higher quality inventory, especially if you have those humans looking at and auditing the quality of the traffic that's being generated from each one of these different campaigns that they're set up. So with campaign setup, there's a lot of things that go into campaign setup. I know that a lot of this talks about, it might sound very basic and very 101, but we find by sticking to the basics, you achieve better performing campaigns. So campaign setup is important, that whole pre-optimization process. Are you setting it up to only be delivered to above the fold inventory? Are you setting that campaign up to be day parted, to only be delivered during peak browsing times online? Now, these are certain best practices that can be incorporated at the onset of a campaign to ensure a successful campaign. Optimization, this is something that is extremely important when it comes to a DSP or programmatic solution, or if you're executing campaigns in-house, is how you're optimizing these different campaigns. So by leveraging data-driven inferences gleaned from which time of day, which hour of, which time of day, which day of the week, which geographical location, what type of device, is it a connected TV device, a mobile device, a desktop, which type of creative. All of these inferences can be generated from within and during the execution of the campaign to identify optimization tactics and how impressions and budget should be prioritized to those different channels and levers that are yielding the best results. Reporting, there's a lot of amazing reporting dashboards and analytics dashboards that are out there. I'm not going to start naming some of them, but I feel as though that your programmatic and your digital solution is only as effective as how well you're able to report on some of these different elements and tactics that are being executed as part of this campaign. Reporting can be leveraged as not only a verification tool, but also as a sales tool to show exactly how transparent, how granular, and how much information can be gleaned from that reporting. So again, I think it's important to have that transparency established within any type of reporting dashboard that you guys are building out in-house, or if you are using a third-party vendor. The name of the game today is obviously transparency, and reporting can be used to verify and substantiate how effective your campaigns are performing and exactly where these impressions and where these ads are being viewed by your targeted audience. And then lastly, when it comes to operations and execution, having a strategy for renewal is something that we find to be extremely important. It's something that we emphasize at our organization, and we provide tools to help enable our partners to effectively understand the effectiveness of a campaign through all these elements that we've incorporated in the campaign, what we're able to report upon, so that we can then set up a plan and again encourage our partners to set up a plan for renewal. How can we cross-sell them into different digital marketing platforms? How can we incrementalize them to increase monthly spend? And a lot of it is done, honestly, with it's a combination of not just how that campaign is being executed, but also account management and other elements that can be incorporated throughout the course of the relationship. And so, from a campaign setup standpoint, again, I know that this sounds pretty basic and pretty elemental, but it's important. Understanding the goal of the campaign. Is this advertiser, are they looking for some type of on-site activation on their website? Are they looking for just general awareness within their own backyard because they opened up a brand new location? That campaign goal is going to dictate what tactic or platform would be incorporated to accomplish that goal and objective of the campaign. Each one of these tactics can be used differently to achieve different results. So by picking and choosing and confirming the correct products and tying that back to the campaign goal is ultimately, from an execution standpoint, going to be extremely beneficial. Once that campaign has been set up and we've determined and achieved and identify what those goals are, then the pre-optimization process can start. I mentioned that we use the trade desk. The trade desk is elastic to accommodate several different data quality or inventory quality providers like White Ops. White Ops allows us to verify and bid and vet out inventory and the quality of the inventory even before we bid on impressions within that on that inventory. So obviously, again, it's very important to incorporate some of these different tools that help with automating a lot of these different elements with regards to campaign execution. And then once that campaign has been set up correctly with the right goals, the right tactics, and the right pre-optimization tactics, we want to align it with our partners' owned and operated capabilities, their linear television, their owned and operated website, anything else that's going on, because demand in the marketplace for your advertising services doesn't only exist when that commercial is airing, it exists in perpetuity. The idea is to fill in the gaps with digital execution of campaigns to complement legacy linear media, linear platforms. I think it's important as a media organization to try to enhance the efficiencies that your team is capable of potentially achieving. That can be achieved through automation and technology. There's several companies out there that can help automate a lot of these different aspects of campaign setup and operations and execution strategies. So it's important to look at some of these companies that can incorporate some of these different proprietary technologies into your operations ad ops infrastructure in order to achieve, again, those efficiencies. Our goal, I think, as an industry, should be to identify problems within the industry based on the fact that we're transitioning from a more linear transactional type of sales model to be a more conversational sales model. We want to try to enable our partners to not get bogged down in minutia of having to traffic campaigns, having to report on campaigns. And I think collectively, all together here in this room, we are looking to try to fill in those gaps and try to solve a lot of problems. And technology and automation can be used to drive an awful lot of that. Next, I want to get into inventory quality as it pertains to OTT, connected TV. Again, I talked a little bit about programmatic and how it pertains to targeted display. Well, OTT, there's inventory quality standards that can be set up and achieved within OTT and connected TV platforms. I think it's important to understand the differences so that we're all on the same page. I think that there isn't necessarily a standardized set of terminology or lingo that has been agreed upon or is universal for the entire industry. So for what I'm going to talk about today, OTT includes connected TV as well as full episode player. So connected TV is over the top, but over the top isn't necessarily connected TV. So connected TV is streaming content to avoid outside of that cable box, through a device that's connected to the internet. It could be your smart TV. It could be something that's set up through a dongle or a stick of sorts. And then also you have full episode player, which is targeting devices that are streaming content, like a desktop, tablet, laptop device. So I think it's important to understand the differences between those two as it pertains to inventory quality, because we're going to get to that in just a minute. But with DSPs out there, you have the ability, obviously, to outfit your programmatic solution, but also your over-the-top connected TV solution as well. So all your TV buying needs can be accomplished within the single DSP. And a lot of these brand safety and quality filter providers that we use have the same application with regards to targeted display as they do with over-the-top. So you have the same ability to vet out and pre-optimize campaigns, over-the-top campaigns, as you would if you're setting up a programmatic TV campaign. It's obviously you can develop much more impactful insights and optimization opportunities through the over-the-top platform than you can with that linear platform. One of those things that we can do is and that you should be able to do with over the top is control frequency. Controlling how many times you're delivering an ad to someone. That's part of an inventory quality best practice, is identifying frequency caps and optimizing within those frequency caps. I think it's important to understand that over the top absolutely complements your linear platforms. Through a study within the trade desk, we see that 41% of all connected TV users are unique connected TV users. They're not using both linear and connected TV. So there is overlap, but it also represents an opportunity to target an audience that necessarily isn't consuming your platform. You can also tie sales to OTT through cross-device targeting as well. So cross-device targeting is identifying users who consume content on an over-the-top connected TV device who also consume content in different devices. By utilizing a pixel that is generated through the DSP, you can tie OTT impressions to people who are converting on your advertiser's website. So it's something that's very powerful. Obviously, you don't have that ability to accomplish that with a linear platform. And when we talk about inventory quality, there's two different types of tiers that we educate our partners on with regards to inventory quality in the OTT platform. So tier one, and I apologize for the logo soup that we have here, but tier one are highly recognizable brands and content producers like CBS, ESPN, and the MLB network. And they're being distributed through different types of devices or applications like DirecTV. If you have that DirecTV Now application, you open that up and you have each one of these different individual apps for ESPN, for CBS, all available within that Direct Now platform. And then also other devices like Apple TV, your smart TV, your gaming console. These are different devices that can be used to consume this tier one over-the-top inventory. It's not, in terms of tier one versus tier two, which is on the next slide, it's not different in terms of quality. It's different in terms of the brands and the recognizable aspects of these brands that you're targeting, and also the types of devices that tier one is typically consumed on. With tier one, you achieve higher video completion rates because of the devices that it's being distributed to are typically devices that you can't click out of an ad. Okay, so you see higher completion rates. As a result, it typically has a higher price point attributed to it. So it costs more to have access to this tier one inventory, primarily because of the fact that it is much more recognizable content that your ads are going to be distributed on. And also the video completion rate is going to be higher because of the type of device that is being viewed. Tier two, again, you can see national, regional types of content developers. And then some of the distributors. Obviously, we recognize a lot of these distributors from Sinclair and Tegna. They own local television stations in local markets. And that's typically why you see that major difference in terms of the brand recognition versus tier one versus tier two. So tier two typically has a lower video completion rate, not because, again, it's lower quality. It's just because of the fact that it's being delivered to an over-the-top device, such as your smart TV, your desktop tablet, or mobile device, where you can X out of an ad that's being displayed to you prior to you viewing that content. So I think it's important to understand the differences between tier one and tier two over-the-top inventory. And I think it's important to ask your advertisers, what are they looking for? What kind of content, what kind of brands would they want to align themselves with? Do they want tier one? Do they want just tier two, where we can get in front of as many eyeballs as possible? Or do they want to blend of both? So by blending your over-the-top inventory solution, you can achieve, again, a much more customizable solution with regards to OTT and connected TV. So that's pretty much all I have for today. Again, I appreciate everybody's time. I don't know if we have any questions, comments. From anybody in the audience? Thank you very much. I appreciate that.